Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to Omen Exitio, Plague. And picking up where we left off last time, we're captured or imprisoned somewhere. And strange people in masks keep coming in bringing us food. And we're like, heck, we're going to eat. Wish I'd eaten the first meals, but oh well. Didn't realize I wouldn't have a choice but not to eat. I feel like I just said that weird. Anyway, let's get on with it. You approach the door slowly. You are listening out for even the slightest noise, but there is only silence. You try to peer beyond the small gap between the door and the frame, but it's too narrow. You stop to think for a moment. Let's open it with caution. Let's not be stupid. You open the door very slowly and silently, inch by inch, and it's still creaking like everything. In the surrounding silence, you hear every small creak seems to you a deafening screech. Having opened it a few inches, you peer out. Seeing an empty corridor, you leave the room immediately. You find yourself in a corridor lined with several doors, all identical to that from which you came. There's a wallpaper covering the walls, making it impossible to understand what type of building it is. There's nothing else, only a corridor with 6 doors. I don't know which one to do. I guess furthest makes sense. Maybe? Carefully take a few steps along the corridor and try the farthest door from yours. You grab the handle, but it's locked. You try a little force, even though you're quite sure that it's locked. Yeah, let's see if we can hear anything. Put your ear to the door and concentrate on trying to pick up even the slightest noise. You think you can hear breathing, but you decide that it could just be a trick of the mind or the pressure caused by having your ear pressed against the door. You leave the door and try another. Try another door. This time one in the center of the corridor. It is closed. You try the opposite one. The handle turns. So did it matter what door I chose? This isn't gonna be like any. Did I say this? I feel like I know I thought it, but I can't remember if I said it. That's the problem I have sometimes. I think things, but I don't always think to say them. Is this gonna be an eyes wide shut type situation? I hope not. It'd be amusing for the game, but rarely you push a door and enter the room. You find yourself in a large room with a huge library, leather armchairs, and the sumptuous furnishings. It looks like a lounge of any of the more prestigious gentlemen's clubs in London. Men and women are sitting around quietly conversing. Although they are dressed in the same bizarre clothes with which you're now familiar, grinning stone masks, kilts, and that bizarre little skull cap, their posture and overall bearing seems to identify them as nobility. On their wrists, they all have the same tattoo, a shape reminiscent of an eye. Ooh, interesting. So it's oh, that one, right? Interesting. Is that an achievement? Oh, okay. I guess it's. I guess I didn't clear that out. Although, yeah. Well, I shouldn't have bothered looking at over there in the notes. You know that you have seen that tattoo before in Zanzibar. It cannot be a coincidence. So they've been watching you for some time. You remember something else. The almost identical symbol you saw in the book about ancient Egyptians in London. What could the connection be? Is Smith in with this cult? Because he brought up Egyptians. You know when he tried to shoot us, remember? I wonder if he's involved with this somehow. The atmosphere is extremely surreal. They are acting as if you were not even there. Finally, someone notices you. Dr. Huntington, finally you have decided to join us. His voice is muffled by the mask, and he makes a gesture for you to sit in a nearby armchair. Everyone present turns to look at you through the dark holes of their masks. On the table in front of you there is a glass of red wine, which you are sure is of the finest quality. You do not dare to take it, but rather listen carefully to the masked man who is speaking to you. Dr. Huntington, let us not get off on the wrong foot. I can imagine that you have many questions. And I assure you, if you make the right choices, there will be a time you will be given all the answers you seek, and many that as yet you do not. Making choices is all I've done so far in this game, so we'll see if they're right. To this guy. Honestly, I'm hoping they're not, because I don't trust this at all. You feel all the people in the room staring at you, analyzing you. After spending days in your luxurious prison, you know that you are unlikely to gain anything with a direct attack. Yet there's something familiar about that voice. Though it's muffled, its tone and phrasing remind you of one you have heard before. There's a strange accent, but the distortion makes it difficult to identify. But the height and body size match well. Could the man who is addressing you actually be Meyer? Let the guy keep talking, I guess. Answers will come. First of all, to have them, you must make choices, hopefully the right ones. We do, after all, have at least one objective in common. Again, I've been making choices the whole game. For now, you have no room to maneuver, and he is at pains to point that out to you. However, the mere fact that you're still alive means that somehow they need you. So let the man continue. We are, let's say, a very exclusive club. Our members come from the elite of many different specialties in different parts of the world. We include nobility, entrepreneurs, military men, even some like you from the world of science. We have been active as a group for a very long time. Our work goes back countless generations. We have always had significant influence on all major historical events. And now we are close to achieving what could be termed a new level of influence. As you're listening to his words, you wish it was possible to write them off as those of a madman. But you cannot. In fact, they seem to describe a world very close to that which you have been imagining. Certain resources and unique capabilities allow access to our group. Capabilities such as your own, Dr. Huntington. You are an intelligent man, Doctor. I do not imagine that I need to tell you just how many advantages there are for you once you have decided to join us. For this reason, we have taken care not to let your name become public knowledge. We do not allow publicity for our members. So that's why they didn't. When Meyer was like, he didn't want us in the paper. Gotcha. Leveled up. What was that note? So most likely Meyer. Let me get this cleared off real quick. Most likely Meyer. But he's listed differently in the notes. Interesting. It's showing that we're still in Delft. I don't know if we really are, if that's just what the map tells us. I kind of want to see what happens if... I mean, I don't want to, like, flat out, like, join them. What if this would have happened if I hadn't took the $10,000? Or why am I saying $10,000? It's a bunch of money, the suitcase of money. Why am I thinking 10,000? It was 10,000. I can't remember. Feels like 10,000 seems like it's attached to something in this game. I have a terrible memory. Let's hold our tongue. We're not here to force you, Dr. Huntington, and we'll give you some time to consider it. But we'll see you here tomorrow. In the meantime, please enjoy our hospitality. As he speaks, he is getting up. Several other members of the club are already moving towards the door at the back of the room, and he cues behind them. You start in their direction, but your way is quickly blocked by another masked man. It's silently pointing at the door behind you, the one from which you came, with a particularly muscular arm. Okay. I have one fighting skill. I'm not going to pick a fight with him. Start moving back towards the door to the corridor, turning to look at the last to leave the room. The heavy-set man who pointed you back to your room. He's probably under orders not to kill you, but it's probably better not to risk it. He might even have some of those down paralyzing needles. Entering the corridor, you find the door of your room open, and going inside, your eyes widen at what you find there. There is a wonderful 5-course feast of fine food, including quail and other such dishes, some that you don't even recognize. You've only just crossed the threshold when the door closes behind you. You need not check to know that it is locked again. How'd they close the door? You awaken from tormented sleep full of terrible nightmares which you can barely remember. You're left with distressing intimations of dark and ominous forms, but any sort of concrete image fades immediately away. When you calm down a little, you see that the door to the corridor is wide open. You can see into the corridor, even a part of the door which you know leads to the club. You presume that the door is also unlocked. May as well. You enter the corridor and approach the door. The handle turns easily, and once again you're in the elegant hall, filled with masked people, chatting quietly or reading. A woman approaches and slips a wine glass into your hand, touches it with her own, and then pours some of her wine onto the black, grinning lips of her mask. Having concluded this bizarre toast, she leaves. Okay. Can they drink through those masks? I don't know. I've never tried to drink through a mask. I've never really worn a mask anyway, but still, I would think they look difficult to drink through. Maybe they use straws. Nothing seems more intimidating than a guy wearing a mask on like this. Should have done that. Dr. Huntington, please make yourself comfortable. With one hand, he points to an armchair, while with the other, he gestures to include the whole room: the books, a rich buffet, a small bar, and an area with smoking equipment. You were expecting further speeches, but the half-naked men and women ignore you entirely. I don't trust them enough to drink. That's a guarantee. I definitely don't trust to drink. Plus, best to keep a clear head. As clear of a head as we can have. But I am curious. I feel like we should get some information here. Then again, that has a possibility of backfiring, considering it sounds like they're influential people who mean that they're probably pretty guarded with the information they do. But we'll participate. Decide to sink into the comfortable plush of an armchair and observe the various goings on. If not for the unclothed torsos and unsettling masks, the situation in this room would be absolutely normal. Almost rather battle. Some people engage in small talk, while others help themselves to the buffet bar or smoke their pipes. Can you eat through the mask too? Listen to some of the conversations in English nearby, but you're instantly bored stiff by the vacuity and jedginess of the discussions, typical of any pub or gentleman's club in London. Indeed, the only real difference between this and a gentleman's club, aside from the shocking state of undress, of course, is the presence of ladies. You cannot help but see it all as pantomime, some kind of play, but you try to stay alert for clues nonetheless. And then you fall asleep, only to be woken up sometime by the sound of a bell. At the sound of the bell, all the members leave the room. Again, you're surprised, but then after a few moments, the heavily built member of the club reappears and again points to the door. Evidently, you're not allowed to be in the room alone. You go back to your room. Days pass thus. Each time your door opens, the room is available to you, but only when occupied by members of the club. You visit every time. You are welcomed and greeted, but no one speaks to you directly. You've been to the room of the club several times now, with the implicit understanding that if you stop going, you'll stop receiving food. You cannot fathom the intentions of these strange people, at least not until you see a series of newspaper article clippings obviously intentionally placed at the entrance of the hall. Man, this for a secret cult, this seems pretty boring. Be like, no, thank you. I mean, the topless ladies, might be a mild, like advertisement for it, but otherwise they're really terrible at the promotion of this thing. Although honestly, it doesn't seem like they really want to do promotion, but you know what I mean. Not promotion, but like enticing you to join. They are all articles about accidents involving the supposedly random disappearances of famous people, overturned carriages, fatal beatings by thugs, and arson attacks. The dates and origins of the newspapers from which they have been taken differ wildly. Studying them carefully, you almost want to smile. The message the threat they imply is clear, crystal clear. Well, Dr. Huntington, what do you think of our club? At this point, it's clear your only option is pretending to play along. Let's do it more cautious. What? What do you mean achievement failed? I was just cautious. Why is that a failure? We're pleased to hear that, Dr. Huntington. Let's actually see what it says. Okay. Gotcha. I'm okay missing that achievement. For now. I'm an achievement hunter, so I'm probably going to try to play through again and get it later. But for now, I'm okay. We are pleased to hear that, Dr. Huntington. We knew you would come around to reason sooner or later. All conversation in the room has suddenly fallen silent. All the masks are turned towards you, but you pretend not to have noticed. I suggest you go to your room and get some rest, Dr. Huntington. Tomorrow you will awaken to your new life. Then you may begin to receive many of the answers which you so desire. Great. Yay! We're part of a club! A boring club. For nudity, it really does sound like a really boring club. For the umpteenth time, you watch as the members of the club slowly leave the room, followed by your interlocutor. This time you're left entirely alone. Even the muscular guard has left with the others. Following the advice you have just been given, you head back into your room. Okay. Your dreams are chaotic and fragmented. You wake up slightly dizzy and tense. On the table there has appeared a folded piece of paper, and on the chair are the clothes in which you awoke here the first time. After dressing, you take a look at the sheet of paper. It contains instructions that tell you when and how to contact the cult. If the date mentioned in the text is near, you calculate that you have spent nearly 3 weeks in this prison. You fold and pocket the paper and go out into the hallway. You try the door to the club, but this time it's locked. You try another, but it also is locked. Strange. You try one more door. This time the door opens and you're immediately struck by natural light and fresh air. You stumble out drunk for a few moments on fresh air and liberty. You find yourself on a small, rather sordid alleyway. Coming out onto a main road, you see something which lifts your spirit even further. Through a light fog, you see an unmistakable profile, the clock tower of Big Ben. All this time thinking you were in a club in Delft with a very London atmosphere, you were in fact in London all along. London! Great. That means we can't get away very easily because they're in town. Probably best to go home. You call a hansom to take you home, mentally recording the location of the place where you were confined. You have only a few days to carefully consider your next move. As the carriages jostle on London's bumpy streets, you try to re-establish contact with reality. The interminable hours and days spent as a captive of the sect have you rather dazed, as if you were now in a parallel universe. Almost 100 experience, nice. Level up speechcraft if I needed to, even. Okay. Your study seems small to you now, cold and foreign. Your encounter with the sect has made everything else from your old reality appear fake. You pick up a photographic portrait of Helen, looking for something to hold on to, but even her memory seems distant now. Zanzibar, the epidemic, Delft, and the meeting with the sect. Darkness has begun to consume your very life. It all seems completely insane. Ironically, the only coherent thing in all this chaos is the bizarre cult itself. Reflecting on recent events, you think it increasingly likely that the Germans who gave you the money are members of this cult. Really? No shit. It would be a logical assumption. It really would. Thus, whether you like it or not, you have already collaborated with them. I really wonder what would happen if I hadn't took the money. After this thought, you have another one which makes you angry. Can it help but feel you have been at the mercy of events beyond your control? You have been controlled and used as a tool. You must somehow regain control of your life. He's talking about me making these choices? He's talking about the player? You only have 3 more days before you must meet the sect again, and you must prepare yourself. You toy with the thought of accepting their proposal. Why should it be so absurd? You pace the house, thinking, trying to clear your head, when you notice a letter on the table in the hall. The envelope is entirely blank. You pick it up with a curious sense of expectation. Dear Jake, unfortunately my warnings proved to be of little use. As I write, I understand that you have been taken captive by the mad Hastalic cult. They will not harm you, at least not physically, and will not keep you locked up for long. Their sole purpose is to seduce you and bend you to their will. The words of this mysterious informant seem almost in mockery, and your initial reaction is to throw the letter into the fire. There are 2 things which strike you as interesting, though. Firstly, the letter speaks definitively of a cult, the religious implications of which disturb you greatly, and secondly, it mentions a peculiar name, completely unfamiliar to you. Who or what is Hastalic? The comet approaches and they are hurrying. This is to our advantage, Jake. With your intelligence and inner strength, it will not be easy for them to brainwash you. I know, too, that you are to meet with them shortly for your initiation. Another piece of information that sounds absurd. Recalling ancient and primitive beliefs and superstitions. A comet. If you have not yet been corrupted by their influence, this may be your best chance. It would be the ideal moment to deal a decisive blow. It could perhaps even destroy them. This time you could have some support, however. Hang a strip of white cloth from your window to let me know. A friend. You reflect on the letter's contents. Most of all, you are wondering whether the informant really does have your best interests at heart. Well, I really don't want to join a cult. Unless this is a competing cult. I mean, do cults compete? Something I'm not sure about. Be funny if they met up in the streets like a gang, hey, we saw them first. Yeah, let's agree. I trust this guy more than I do the cult. You reread the letter. You are unsure of whether or not this mysterious informant can be trusted, but it seems clear that they have a common enemy, that which he calls the cult of Hastalic. Cult is a threat. You are still unclear as to its intentions and objectives, but you now know that something must be done to stop it. You have always considered yourself a man of principle, and this is not the time to back down. However, it would be unreasonable to assume you can act effectively only by yourself. And do we involve Reginald? I don't know if we want to get Reginald involved. We tell him, hey man, these guys showed up and they try to kidnap me. He's like, oh man, that's terrible. And then they did kidnap me, and they imprisoned me in their room for days. Oh my gosh, that's terrible, man. And they dressed as these masks, and they were half naked, and then so Rachel will be like, "Oh man, that is insane." And they tried to feed me these huge meals every single day. And Rachel will be like, "Doesn't seem so bad now. Why don't you join? Hey, maybe they have a crap. What am I trying to think of? I'm wanting to say refer a friend. Yes, a refer a friend program. Why not? You call a handsome cab and it takes you to the university. You walk around the grounds looking for your friend with a mounting anxiety. Finally, you find them in the one of the lecture halls, busy correcting papers. Reginald greets you with a broad smile, but then he stops when he notices your frown and guesses that this is not a mere courtesy visit. You explain what happened to you, the situation in general, and what exactly you intend to do. Reginald looks at you hesitatingly. He seems concerned about the idea of embarking on this plan. Jake, I'm your friend, and you know I'm always ready to help you out. But you know I'm just not what would be called a man of action. I'm trying to help you in your preparation, organizing an escape if things were to go wrong. But I just can't imagine me being able to participate in direct combat. Okay. I got an achievement. Yay! Smiling, you reassure him that you have no intention of putting him in any danger and embrace him. His support, however, is exactly what you need. You're pleased that you were able to garner support for what you have to do. Alone, you might have even given up or done something unwise. So we're going to put the thing there for the other guy. You prepare yourself for the confrontation. You try to mentally draw up a plan, turn everything into a sequence of actions and events, not only to be able to act more effectively, but also to anticipate any unexpected weaknesses. If you want to succeed, you will have to be as calculating as possible. Well, I have almost 100 experience, so that might help me. Okay, you ascend the stairs and get ready to put the agreed signal at the window. Despite not fully trusting your ally, you do believe that he is hostile to the cult. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy. Reginald arrives early and you chat with him to kill time. I haven't felt this anxious since my own student days. There's someone at the door. Only one night has passed since you hung the signal at the window. You open the door to find a messenger. He is a stocky black man with penetrating eyes, and he is holding a package. As soon as he has given it to you, he is gone without even waiting for a tip. You slowly open a strange box containing various items and a note. Note details certain chemicals to be purchased, and there are instructions for assembling the whole into a small explosive. It looks like materials one would use to build an explosive device. We don't have an option, apparently. I don't want to blow us up. So I'm gonna put those points in the medicine. Okay, good. Great. You're sitting in your study preparing to build the device by reading the instructions. You assemble the components, carefully mix the chemicals, and even more carefully pour them into the central part. The whole thing is a very delicate operation, and it takes considerable time. After several hours' work, you have successfully put together something bizarre looking and slightly disturbing. The bomb is ready. Another achievement. Yeah, I'm achieving a lot. Along with the instructions for the device, there are also directions for the preparation of a fireproof ointment to spread on your body. Prepare this too with all due care. You inspect the device. It's small, but definitely not enough to be concealed on your person. Think carefully. Something you learned in your time as their prisoner is that the cult is made up of people belonging to the nobility. No one would think it strange for you to arrive there wearing a top hat. In fact, they would probably see it as an act of ostentation and respect on your part. I might even like it. The bomb would fit perfectly inside a topper. My hat's off to you. Boom! Okay, well, great. Looks like we're taking a bomb to the cult. Lovely. So, but anyway, that's going to be the end of the episode. I do sincerely hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. And let me know what you think of this game. It's definitely a strange game. I'm enjoying it though. I'm curious where it continues to lead. The first part of chapter 2, or mid. I don't know how. I mean, this is chapter 2. I'm still assuming. But the first part, it was kind of boring there, the Delft part. But then we got abducted by a cult. It did get a bit more interesting. The cult itself is pretty boring, but the fact that there is one did make it more interesting. And this whole, thing here is interesting. How we're going to deal with the cult. So, yeah. I do sincerely hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next episode. Later there, folks.